Hello folks, how's it going? It is a special bonus video for you today because, well, I've got some positive things to say about Games Workshop and their product. I know, shock horror, but this is a balanced channel. When they do things that I like, I will call them out because I want more joy in the world. I want more of you folks to be enjoying your hobby and enjoying what's going on around you. And today, or yesterday and today, I had a nice little experience. Pretty much. Yesterday was Halloween, and today is the Day of the Dead. So basically, Halloween is 2 days in reality. And I was, marching through town, and we got in the car. Went and picked up my daughter because she stayed with us last night for Halloween. We did some pumpkin carving, and it was awesome. We had a really good time. I think mine was not the best, but my missus and my daughter are very artistic, and they're very good. I'm good at painting miniatures. They're good at carving pumpkins. What can I say? But I'm very proud of my effort, though, because normally I'm not very good at these things. But anyway, so we went and picked her up, and we went to Asda, which is a convenience store, big, massive chain over in the UK, for those of you who don't know. And I went in there to find some chocolates for me and the missus to have later whilst we are playing video games. I didn't get any trick-or-treats because we don't really get trick-or-treaters in this road. And so... Funny story that happened a bit later on before I get into what I'm here to talk about is this year we did have trick-or-treaters for the first time in ages. We had trick-or-treaters. We had about 3 or 4 turn up to the door, which was lovely. But we had nothing to give them but the rather large packets of chocolate, like Galaxies, Minstrels, Milky Way Stars, Maltesers, right? Big full packets of these, and I was just like, here you go. The parents were like, wow, you're really kind. You're giving these out all night? Sure. So we had no chocolate left. So the missus had to go out and get some more chocolate. But whilst I was in Asda earlier looking for chocolate to eat later on for Halloween, I spied something in the magazine section, and it is this lovely item over here, the White Dwarf issue 517. Now, I don't normally buy White Dwarfs, okay? Not really. But I knew I would carve my pumpkin pretty quickly, and the ladies would be carving theirs and watching a movie, so I figured, you know what, I probably have some time to read tonight, so I'll buy this, It was $6.99, which is pretty pricey for a magazine in which you don't get any freebies. But I will say, I was incredibly impressed by this magazine, by this month's White Dwarf, and I've been so impressed, I might go back and buy a few more. Because I read this thing cover to cover. I read it last night while sitting with my daughter in front of the fire, while she was watching TV and carving her own another pumpkin, having a good time. And then, again, this morning, I got up, made her some breakfast, we sat downstairs, she read her book, and I read my White Dwarf, and we had a lovely little time there. And I've finished reading it now. And I want to show you some of the things that are in this White Dwarf magazine that came out this month, because I think this is a very good window into the goodness, the greatness of the hobby and what it represents, and the things that we perhaps have missed over the last couple of years. And I also want to use it as a sort of a doff of the cap to Games Workshop of please continue doing this. Continue with this. I really enjoyed it. And I think if you like the hobby as much as I do, you will enjoy it as well. So I've got a few little excerpts here, but this month was about scenery and building scenery. Those of you who know back in the day, Games Workshop would do this all of the time. There was one article in White Dwarf called Da Big Green Fort back in the day, which I swear to God got one of my friends Danny into orcs for the rest of his life. Like he just loved it. He'd loved that fortress. It was just made of like lollipop sticks and ice lolly sticks and toothpicks and all sorts, but it just looked amazing the way that they'd done it. And this entire magazine this month is about building your own scenery, you're getting your own battlefield up to snuff, and also it's not using Games Workshop products, which is something that I really like. They've actually said in this White Dwarf, hey, here are some hobby stores where you can get this stuff that I made this board from. And some of these dudes telling you this are guys who work for the studio, okay? They work for the studio and they say, yeah, Games Workshop don't sell this, so here's where you can get it from. This putty that I used, or this styrofoam that I used, or this MDF that I used, this resin that I used. Here's the places where you can buy those things. I've never seen Games Workshop do that before, and that was really, really cool. Active shout-outs to the competition, quote unquote, because they know, yeah, we don't make this, but we like our boards, and we like really cool boards, so, you know, it is what it is. So obviously you have I'm not going to take you on a blow-by-blow through the entire thing, but there'll be a few select things here. So of course you've got your editor's thing here, but you can see on the right-hand side what's going to be in this edition of White Dwarf. I really enjoyed reading it, and yeah, moving on. Okay, there are 2 entire games in this month's White Dwarf. Yeah. 2 entire game modes for 40k and Age of Sigmar in this month's White Dwarf. The first is Cavalry Engagement, and this is basically using bikes, using horses, using mounted units only as like outriders to ride down your enemies and actually, you know, have a full game just using that. A 500-point game using just riders, using just bikes, just horses, things like that, mounts, and it's pretty cool. It's got missions, it's got base rules, missions, unit characteristics, special rules, all in 4 or 5 pages. So if you get this White Dwarf, you've got another mode to play 40k. I read the cavalry engagement rules, and I thought, you know what? There are going to be so many people who do small tournaments using just these rules. They're really good. They're actually really well written, and I really enjoyed them. There is another one later on in this book that covers Caradron Overlords and people like that. So the 40k one is about land cavalry, because we don't really have that in 40k. It's not really... well, it is in there, but it's not like the focus. So they put the focus on that. On the Age of Sigmar one is about airship and air superiority, because we do have that in 40k. We don't really have it in Age of Sigmar. So now there is a full game in Age of Sigmar, a game mode where you can just use airships, flying beasts, flying monsters, flying characters, flying units to duel with each other in the sky. And it even gives you mission maps where you have the tops of mountains poking up through clouds and things. Dude, there are 2 full games in White Dwarf this month. Full games. Like, you know, and they are well written. They're lovely, cozy games. I would love to play some cavalry engagement with people. I was itching, thinking maybe as we get into spring next year and all of the medieval festivals start, you know, coming up, maybe we do something like that for like a small exile fest, like just do like a joust. That would be pretty cool. But this is the kind of thing I love to see in White Dwarf. It really is. It's fantastic. It's cool, and it gets you involved in the hobby and gives you more ways to use your models. That's what we want, right? Games Workshop in this, I don't know if it's just this White Dwarf, but they really did seem to be moving away from 40k as a competitive thing. This White Dwarf was all about fun and how to get the most out of your miniatures. They stayed away from the main game, you know, the main 40k zeitgeist and the main Age of Sigmar tournament scene zeitgeist. They stayed away from all that. It was about building your own stuff and having fun with the models you've already got, and I applaud them for that. Another thing that we had was, of course, scenery. And there were some beautiful pieces of scenery, including the Mines of Moria here, the outside of the Mines of Moria, and in-depth guides onto how they made these pieces of scenery. Some of which I've made notes of, and I'm going to use on my own projects going forward for my home boards. I will be doing home boards. I will be doing one. I'm thinking of doing one for every season, right? So I'm going to do a winter board, an autumn board, a summer scorched desert board, and a spring board. I think that's what we're going to be doing in next year. That's going to be my big project. I'll be doing the winter one first, then we'll be going into the spring, and then the summer, and then off we go. And each of my armies will be based on one of these boards. So the Exiled Blades are based on the summer board, you know, the desert board. They're going to be on that one. You know, the Orcs will be on the snowy board, and so on and so forth as we go on through. The Eldar that I'm collecting will be on the spring board, the springtime board, and then we're going to be moving into my final army, which will be autumn, which I haven't decided on yet, but I will be deciding on that. It won't be Space Marines, but I'll be deciding on that in the near future. But this was really good to read through, really inspiring to see how he did this. and how he went about building this. This is only one of them, by the way. This is just one of the bits of scenery. There are other parts to this, like Hobby Hangout, where we have Paul, who is from the studio over there at Warhammer World, and he's actually showing you how to build rocks, how to build formations, how to cut things with heated foam cutters, things like that, how to do it without hurting yourself, things, and where to go for your supplies, your MDF, your styrofoam, your plasticine, all these little things that he's used. And all of these are readily available at hobby stores, and he tells you in his article as well where to get these things from and how to stick them to bases and things like that. What colours he's used to paint them up. And all of these things are readily doable. This isn't magic. This is what a lot of people who want to do their own scenery, but they never really get the balls to do it. It's because they just think it's too difficult. But things like polystyrene, they're not that difficult to do. It's not difficult to make really cool pieces of scenery. Try it, give it a go yourself. Paul's article was really good. Really enjoyed watching, reading it, and also having your rocks, having bases, having things like that. It shows pride in your own hobby space. In fact, there was one guy who did a really cool quote in this, where he was doing like an Imperial Fist versus Sons of Horus attack on Inuit, or Inuit, sorry, scene, and he said, scenery isn't meant to be the main character, they're supposed to accentuate your models. And that was, A1 for me. Yeah, exactly. There are tons of bits of scenery out there that go a bit too far. And the fact that guys like Paul have said this, these professional people who do this for a living have said, yeah, there's lots of scenery up there that goes a bit too far. You don't need that. You need to go strange enough or cool enough to blend in your models and give your battles that bit more of immersion. One other thing that's in this that I didn't take a photograph of is a game mode based on the Space Marine 2 game. Literally. There's another 40k game mode where you take 4 or 5 Space Marines and you fight hordes and hordes and hordes of Tyranids and Thousand Suns, and even Orcs if you want, right? And that's in White Dwarf. It's in this White Dwarf where they show you how to do that, and they give you rules to do that. They even give you cards to use in that game. So the value for money, for me, I know $6.99 is a lot for a magazine, but to me, as somebody who loves 40k and loves Warhammer in general, magazine's already paid for itself, because I've got so much knowledge and so much like entertainment out of it already that I'm going to use going forwards. That's really cool. And I've gotten 3 free games in the one magazine. 2 for 40k and 1 for Age of Sigmar. That's before we get to... I'm not even at my favourite part of the magazine so far, by the way. So far. Alright. We have beautiful armies. This is something that I saw in the magazine. It is the Retaliation Cadre of the Tau. It is a rusty Tau aesthetic, like a battle-worn Tau. Most Tau you see are very clean, very debonair, very swishy, you know what I mean, very Gundam. These dudes have been through the wars. They have rust all over them. You can't make it out really in the picture, because I'm not very good at taking pictures. But when you see it in the magazine for yourself, it takes your breath away. This is an amazing army. I just wanted to put it in there because it's just cool to me. Alright, here is something that really got me going. I love me some lore. And the one thing that White Dwarf has been missing for a long time is good lore. And little excerpts here and there. And here we have Aethon Shan, who is the new chapter master of the Raven Guard, and it is a couple of page spread about his origins, how he became the Lord of Deliverance, how he became the chapter master of the Raven Guard, what he's good at, the crows that follow him around in massive packs, these cyber crows and things. It's really, really, really cool lore. And if you want to know how to write 40k lore, read it. Don't read it in books, read it in articles like this, because when you write your own codexes and your own lore, it shouldn't read like a novel, it should read like this, right? Really good article, really enjoyed it, and it really tempted me to start getting a Raven Guard, which is its job at the end of the day, and I had to slap my own hand to stop myself from doing it. But really cool article, and please, more of this in White Dwarf. Thank you. Alright, Tale of Four Warlords is back. I read this back in the day. In fact, a guy who works at my local store was in Tales of Four Warlords back in the day. I'm not sure if he won or not. I don't think he did. But yeah, Tales of Four Warlords. It's basically a thing where you get together with your friends and you collect an army each as the narrative goes on. and essentially you decide a winner through Tale of Four Warlords. This looks really fun. I really enjoyed reading through it. It's just an introduction to all of the players and the armies that they've chosen, why they chose them, and the colour schemes that they went with before the in December we're going to get the first battles and challenges and things like that in Tales of Four Warlords. It's a really good read. Go back and try and get older versions, older copies of White Dwarf, because there have been 14 Tales of Four Warlords series, right? All done to completion. And all of them are amazing. So they're really, really good to go and read. In fact, Games Workshop, please, 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 if one of you is listening, give me a compendium of A Tale of Four Warlords, please. Because it's literally the hobby. It's literally the hobby from start to finish. Deciding on your army. They even talk about, in this article, sort of army indecision. Right? Not knowing which army to start. Not knowing which army is for you. And all of these things are really, really, really cool, because these are things that you think, hey, well, the pros never have to deal with this kind of thing. Well, reading articles like this, you realise, yes, they do. Yes, they do. They think, I really want this army, but I also really want that army, and that army, and that army. Oh, which one I'm going to do first? You know? Give me a compendium. I will buy it. Give me a compendium book of A Tale of Four Warlords. As soon as you get, you know, number 15 maybe down, so you've got 15 series of Tales of Four Warlords, please put them in a book and let us buy them, because I would love to read that. That'd be amazing as a little bedtime read or a calm down read. Love it. Okay, now we're on to my favourite, the last two things I'm going to show you from this White Dwarf, because I actually do want you to go out and buy it. You don't need to go and get it from Games Workshop. You can go get it from any of your stores. Go support your local store. If you go into your local store this month and you don't have any models to get, pick up a White Dwarf. Pick up this one, right? Because I promise you now, I'm recommending it because I really, really, really enjoyed it. And this is my favourite part of the whole thing. It's a twofer, right? It's a back-to-back. So, number one, it's Winter in the Westfold, which is a Lord of the Rings-based battlefield that's been made, right? Where Lewis here takes you through how he built the battlefield, how he went about it, how he got the ice down, how he made all of the snow drifts, the tents, trees, all of it. All in there, really cool article, and it leads you into this battle report. I'm not going to spoil it. The Long Winter. It is the Hillmen tribes against Rohan, and it is fantastic. It is really, really fun to read through, and I really enjoyed reading through it. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a very, very, very close battle, and I've always had my suspicions with White Dwarf's battle reports. You never see an absolute pasting. You know, you never see the dice gods just absolutely shit on someone from a great height in these things, which can happen. They're always really close, really fun games. But, you know, I always forgive it because it's an advertisement for the game. And I know the people, I knew in the past, people who made these things. And I would say a good 80 to 90% of these battles actually does happen. They just cut out the lame 10% where, oh, I failed that charge roll. Well, let's say I passed it. It's more epic if I passed it, right? So in this battle report, there are two heroes who find each other on a battlefield. I know for a fact that sometimes the game will just shit on a moment like that and say, no, it doesn't happen because you failed the charge. Well, you know, two studio people go, nah, let's just say they got into combat. It's cool, right? You know, it's awesome, right? I can forgive things like that because it just makes for a better battle report to read and it's more fun. This I really loved. I read this over an hour or two, both articles back to back, and they are back to back in the White Dwarf as well. And I just sat there and thought, yeah, I wanna do this. I wanna collect another army, you know. And I closed the White Dwarf completely enthused and wanting to do more. I want to do more Warhammer, please. That is what White Dwarf is for. Last thing I want to talk about is literally, this is the very reason why I've told you or have asked you, please, step back from any culture war nonsense, step back from any hatred that you have towards people or companies, and just look at the hobby for what it is. It's playing with toy soldiers and creating cool things together. That's what it is at the end of the day. And I share, if you're angry about the way Games Workshop is going about certain things in the law or in the business, I share all of your concerns. And you know I do. I've done countless videos on them. But even I can still find time to celebrate the hobby and to celebrate when Games Workshop get it right. And I'm sorry, White Dwarf is a Games Workshop product, and this month they really did get it right. So much so, I've already ordered 3 more previous editions of White Dwarf over the last few months because I want to read some more. I want to see if this is a one-off thing, or whether White Dwarf is actually back and is actually this thing. This is the first time in a long time where I've read something from Games Workshop that made me feel like I was 13 again. Right? It made me feel excited to play 40k, Lord of the Rings, Age of Sigmar, whatever it is. There are even short stories in this that are pretty good. There's 2 short stories in this White Dwarf that are pretty good. They're actually really good. You know? That's before we get into all the bunker stuff of people showing off their models. What I've showed you is about like 30% of what's in the magazine. Right? And these are just my favourite little snippets that I've taken out that I wanted to share with you. Please, Games Workshop, please do more of this. Please give me a Tale of 4 Warlords book, right? A compendium. Or maybe also give me a compendium of all of the battle reports in White Dwarf. Please. Like, something like that. I'd eat that up, you know? Sometimes we are ruled by cynicism and anger and rage, and I'm here to tell you guys, you don't need to be. You just don't. You can just celebrate liking the hobby. Games Workshop are not the hobby, okay, but they are a big part of it. I don't think any of us can get away from that fact. But if they bring out things like this, I'm going to call it out and say, well done. Well done. I really enjoyed this, and long may it continue. Well done to the White Dwarf team. And yeah, I'm really happy to be getting into doing my winter board now. I'm going to use all of the tips I got from this month's White Dwarf to build my winter board over the end of this year and the start of next year. And then I'll be getting into spring and summer and autumn after that. So then I'll have 4 boards at home at Castle North to play on with friends. And each of the boards will have its home army, sort of a thing. You know, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. But anyway, have you read any White Dwarfs that you think are really, really, really good and you want to share them with me? Are there any ones that I should be picking up over the past year or two that I should really be having a look at? Are there any other parts of Games Workshop's writing and their outreach that are really good that I should also be taking a look at? Do you think, you know, I'm just full of it and this wasn't a very good White Dwarf? Say that as well. I mean, we're not going to agree because I really enjoyed this, but it is what it is. Here's the thing. I know a lot of you will get frustrated that I'm giving Games Workshop praise, but I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I just enjoyed this. I'm not going to lie to you. I refuse to find the negative in everything. You know? Other channels do that. Other channels will do that. They will try and find the negative in absolutely everything the Games Workshop do. You know? The reason why I enjoy talking to the YouTubers I talk to is because they don't do that. You know, Outcircle doesn't do that. But when there's something to call out that's good, he praises it. He loves it. Same thing with Kaifa over at What the 40k. Same thing with Mordian Glory over there. When there's something good and exciting going on, they will talk about it. Right? But when there's something bad going on, yeah, they will also talk about it. It's one of those things. And I want to be like that. I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to sensationalize bad things. I just want to call it as I see it. And I see that this month's White Dwarf was brilliant and that I really, really, really enjoyed it. So if you like this kind of stuff, I'd go pick it up. Go to your local store, tell them North sent you, and pick yourself up this month's White Dwarf, because I think you'll enjoy it. Anyway, despite the Ultramarines on the front, the Ultramarines are on the front and they don't really appear in the White Dwarf this month. So, there you go. Anyway, I love you all a long time. That is your bonus Saturday video for today, and I'll speak to you very, very soon, all right? Have a good one. Bye now.